Are you looking to race middle distance this year and are looking for a super local run race in the UK that isn't, let's say, as expensive as some of the M dot races out there? Well, I've got a great option for you that I'm going to talk through with two of the race organizers, let you know what little gem is could be sitting on your doorstep. So, who are we? And what, well, again, the race is Eastbourne, which is for a middle distance race, and we'll tell you all about it and why you should sign up. Okay, so who are we? My name is Coach Steve or Steve Moody. I'm an Ironman U certified coach who does race reviews of middle distance and full distance races around the world. I initially started this channel by actually reviewing races I was planning or planning to do or had done. But now I've run out of those, so now I'm looking across the globe to find new exciting races that I can ask all the questions that athletes want to know. Is it wetsuit legal? What's at the aid stations? Is the bike hilly, etc.? And in this, I'm delighted to talk to was it Dale Anderton and Matthew Dowley from Triathlon, who are running the Eastbourne Middle Distance race in England. And I'm going to get them to let them introduce themselves before we dive in. So, Dale, do you want to start off a little bit of background yourself and how you know the race and why? Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. Great to be on board. I've not seen the Chippendale autograph since I was at school, so I'm having flashbacks now. But very amusing. So Dale Anderson, Director of Operations for Tribon Events. Um, Essentially, I do most of the operational planning for the company, looking at risk assessments, contingency planning, things like that. Event day, my job is to make sure everything goes to plan and make sure that anything that doesn't go to plan gets dealt with properly. There's not too much of that, so that's what I do. But I've been involved in triathlon since the early 80s, really. I was in the Royal Marines at the time, got a Wednesday afternoon off work to do a race, did quite well at it, quite enjoyed it, and I've been hooked ever since. I've raced all over the world, done Hawaii, the Kona World Championships. I'm in the GB team in Pontevedra later on this year, and it's really become a lifestyle. It's just been a passion of mine for many, many years. And now it's a full-time career. I was in the police for 20 years. I've stopped all that now, and this is really a full-time job. So, yeah, that's me in a nutshell, really.
Fantastic. Matt, do you want to give us a little bit of background on yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I started triathlon probably about 20 years ago. I did quite a lot of long distance running before that, got a bit bored of running, so I thought I'd have a go at triathlon. Did a full Ironman as my first triathlon. And since then, I've done over 25 Ironman distance races and countless shorter distance races. Yeah, my background come from a sort of website development marketing background, so I very much focus on the sort of athlete guides, website marketing side of the business. And yeah, like Dale, quit the day job 5 or 6 years ago to do this full time. And yeah, it's become a very busy full time job.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And I love that. As I love athletes running races and all the rest, because again, you know what we're looking for, etc. And by the way, I do apologize for Jim Dale. I know I was joking about this on the email with the intern who was doing the presentation. I didn't spot that. I probably should have said. But hey, listen,
Yeah, I believe it.
hey, this is you'll get used to my sense of humor.
I've got broad
Okay,
shoulders, don't
so
worry.
let's dive in, as a kind of excuse the pun about where the swim start, but. Again, I was just pulled out. First thing I went through the athlete guide, the guy shared it with me, which is fab. But the first thing that struck me is there's a lot of races going on the day, and we'll talk about how that works out. So you will be a wave start, and there will be, as I said, make sure you're signing up for the right race. The the this race as well that you mentioned was it Dale? Is it's a qualifier for the GB team for middle distance and Olympic and
But it is
sprint?
for the standard, it's to qualify for Hamburg 2027. But now that we've got over 250 athletes, I think as of today, it's about 287 athletes, and we could probably have up to about 400, maybe 450. Um, we now, it means that athletes can also bid to qualify for many other middle distance events, long distance events, aqua bike events, duathlon events. So all in all, you can have the opportunity to represent your country in, I think it's at 10 different events at our triathlon, which is something quite unique. Not a lot of events can offer that. So yeah, something we're quite proud of.
Cool, excellent. All right, but again on the day, make sure you get the right swim cap. We'll go to the swim course. So, talk us a little bit about the swim course. What can people expect on the day? Is it water temperatures are typically wetsuit legal? Or will there be any nasties in the water, or what can people expect from the Eastbourne swim?
Shall I go, Matt, and then you can chip in if you like. No pun
Yeah,
intended
you
again.
go. You go for it.
So we're looking at about it's be 16, 17 degrees. Traditionally, it's about 16 degrees. We did hold the event in June in some previous years. We moved it to July because the water temperature is a little bit more favourable. The weather conditions are good. The events we've had in July in the past, we've had some really hot weather as well. We've had the hottest day of the year a couple of times in the past, which is makes things interesting. So we give out suntan lotion and of course, but in the water itself, yeah, it's highly likely to be wetsuit optional with a 16-degree water temperature. We've been very fortunate with the weather many years. I think we've put on 21 events now, and the swim's gone ahead in 19 events. So the weather is usually on our side for the middle of July, and that's what we're expecting again this year.
Okay.
Matt, do you want to talk about the course a little bit? And I'll chip in with a couple of
Yep.
things about tides and waves and things like that, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we should start with the start. It will be a mass start,
Oh,
a
cool.
wave mass start on the beach. We line everyone up with their feet in the water, on the edge of the water, sort of spread out. We don't put too many in a wave, so we don't like it to be too crowded at the start. So depending on numbers, there may be one or more start waves for the middle distance race. In the schedule you've got, it's just got a single wave at 6 o'clock, but that may be split into two waves a couple of minutes apart, depending on the numbers. Really important thing in Eastbourne is the currents. It's something that me and Dale know very well from swimming a lot in Eastbourne, and it does catch people out sometimes. So this year the race will be run on an incoming tide, which means that the current will be running from right to left as you look at that map on screen. And you can see that we actually angle the first leg of the swim as you swim out. We angle that off to the left because that's the way that the current will naturally pull you. So actually what you want to do is you actually want to swim from the start pretty much straight out, sort of 90 degrees from the beach, and then let the current pull you to the left. So you actually want to be heading quite a long way to the right of that first red turn buoy, and then the current will actually pull you across onto that buoy. We always do our swim routes so that you're swimming the section of the course with the current further out to sea and the section against the current close to the beach, because again in Eastbourne the current gets progressively stronger the further away from the beach you go. So you'll swim out, the current will pull you onto that first red buoy, and then you'll have a nice easy few hundred meters with the current. And then as you turn left back towards the beach, the same thing will happen. The current will be pulling you to your right. So you actually want to head in sort of straight towards the beach, slightly to the left of that buoy, and then let the current just pull you right as you go towards it. And then you've got the leg back along towards the current along the beach. There is, depending on how strong the current is, you want to get as close to the beach as you can without hitting the groins. There are wooden groins that go down from the beach, and they actually go they continue under the surface. So if you go too close, you can hit your hands on those. So you don't want to get too close, but obviously the closer you get, the less current you'll have against you. If it's a really strong current, you might even find some of the weakest swimmers are sort of dipping in towards the beach between each groin, where it's really sheltered. Once you get between the groins that stick out into the sea, it becomes really sheltered. But if you're a stronger swimmer, you just want to swim a straight line along there. And then, yes, it's a 2-lap course. So when you get back to that first buoy near the start, you'll turn left and do a second lap.
I'll just say on that current, Matt, what we're looking at the moment is about 4 in the morning. It's going to be low tide, about 1.2 meters from memory. And I think it gets on towards about just before 10 in the morning is where the high tide is. And it's a 6.3 meters. So that's a fairly high tide. So it's not going to be at its strongest when this middle distance is in the water, but it's going to start pulling. So if you use the currents, this could be a really fast swim this year.
Lovely. Okay, excellent. And do you guys have a swim cutoff for the middle distance?
No, there's no official swim cut-off for the middle distance. The thing that we were most concerned about is obviously the waves that are coming in beyond them, but there's not one coming in for quite a while. It's the children's race that are going in a bit later in the morning, so there's lots and lots of time. We don't envisage that anybody would be in jeopardy of a swim cut-off by virtue of a next race starting.
Fantastic. No, I like that. It's by the way, I love the idea of a mass swim start as well. That's when I started back then. Like there wasn't seated swim starts, but no, big fan of them. And the when you're entering and exiting the water, that's straight on. That's from the beach and out of the beach. Is there any pontoons or is there any? Is it rocky beach or what should people expect to be underfoot when they're coming out of the water or and entering the
Yeah,
water?
so as you come out of the water, it'll be straight onto a stony beach. We put carpet down on the beach. There may be a few meters between the shoreline and the beginning of the carpet, so you might have to stumble across a few stones before you get onto the carpet. We generally should be able to keep the end of the carpet in the water, so you should be coming straight out onto a carpet, and then that carpet will take you all the way up the beach.
Nice. And is it are we running up a hill or is it flat? Is this run into transition, which we'll talk a little bit in a sec? Is that up any incline or is that flat or
The beach itself is got some. It's when you get a sort of a shingly beach, you tend to get steep bits and flat bits where the tide kind of erodes the beach. So there'll be a couple of bits where it might be quite steep, but it kind of changes throughout the year a bit. So it's a bit hard to predict, but it's a bit varied. It's sort of there'll be a short steep bit probably as you come out of the water, and then it kind of flattens out.
We do have swim catches in the water as well to help people out of the water when they're a bit shaky legged. I'm often there as well. I start most of the events and things, and I'm always telling athletes just take a breath, calm down. You don't just get your wetsuit off in the first 15 seconds. Just get yourself up the beach, pull it down. It's quite a way to transition, which Matt will go into in a moment. Get your wetsuit down by your waist and then get into your pace. But a lot of athletes out of the water, literally the first thing they do is try and rip the wetsuit off and stumbling around. So just a little bit of calm up the beach, and it'll all go well.
absolutely? And is there an option of a practice swim the day before, or can people check out the water, or what's the options there?
Yeah, absolutely. There's very rare to get down the beach where you won't see lots and lots of people out in the water swimming. We won't. There's lifeguards on the beach during the summer as well. We don't put our own lifeguards on for the day before the event. Obviously, we do for the event itself. So yeah, lots of opportunities. I just tell people to check the tide time. So if you're gonna do a practice swim, it'd be nice to do it at a very similar tide.
Yeah, and also just common sense as well. If you are going to, it's great that the beach is open throughout the year, etc. But again, common sense, as in, like if you're doing any open water swimming, you check the tides, you check if there's lifeguards. You do not swim on your own. You have all the equipment, etc. But it's great that you can actually check out the beach at the exact same course. And again, brilliant advice there, Dale. That if you do it at the right time, you'll get the feeling of what's the conditions might be like on race day, and a bit of specific training will help. Cool. All right. Anything else in the swim course? Or we'll talk about that transition, lads.
No, it's a beautiful course. It's by Eastbourne Pier, so there'll be people up there eating a bag of chips, watching you and cheering you and stuff. So yeah, it's a really really nice course if people have not been down to Eastbourne.
Fantastic. Excellent. Okay. So transition. And again, I pulled this from the athlete guide, which is very, very comprehensive, by the way. Well done, Matt. Um, so it is on 2 pages. So again, you're coming out of the swim exit. This is your Shingley Beach, you said. And then is it
Yep,
we just turn left here?
correct. Yes, yeah. So it's about 300 meters to transition. Um, it's on a paved path, which we actually went to have a look at a couple of weeks ago, just to remind ourselves how smooth it is. and it is like smooth concrete paving slabs. So it's not like horrible tarmac with stones and stuff on it. It's a very smooth paving slabs. So absolutely fine on your bare feet. It should be fine. It's obviously hard because it's concrete, but it's smooth. So no nasty stones and stuff. Yeah, you where it says to transition on that map, that's actually a slight gradient up a pavement there, and it kind of goes up a bit and then drops back down a bit, but it sort of undulates slightly to transition. And it's, as I say, it's 300 meters sort of on tarmac.
You run under a restaurant actually, Bistro Pierre, and there's often people having the breakfast and cheering you, and later in the day they're having a few beers there as well. So it's quite a good atmosphere because later on the run also goes around that area.
Yeah, this the grey part there. That's part of the run courses that we'll discuss later on, is it?
Yep, correct. That's the run course, and actually the section where you run along the pavement transition actually will be part of the run course later in the day as well.
Okay, so this would be a good spectator spot if your family are setting up for the day because you've got. I presume this is the finish line, is it?
Correct. Yeah.
So
Yep.
you can see there we're on the run, out coming out of the water, a couple of laps on the run, and then finish line. And as Dale mentioned, there's a place to have beers as well. So it sounds idyllic.
Yeah, we've got our own beer on there as well, and there's lots of cafes and food, and yeah, it's a bit of a festive atmosphere, so people should enjoy themselves.
Yeah, well, with all the different races on, there would be definitely a lot of people there, and I like it. You've got Triborn branded beer as well. It'd be awesome, is it?
Of course.
Mhm. Mhm.
Alrighty, okay, cool. So this is the rest of our transition flow as well. This is still part of the 300 meters, is it, Matt, that we're running up, and we're still in the concrete.
Yeah. Yeah. So where you've just drawn that line is the end of that concrete path, and then it just it comes up. That big grey square on the right is the restaurant that I was talking about.
Oh,
And then you just pop out onto the corner of the Western Lawns, onto the grass there, and that's where you sort of enter the transition area.
nice. Which is here. And just in terms of transition, you guys operate a traditional transition rather than a kind of bagged, a clean transition.
Yes, yeah, we do. So something we do, which is fairly unique to our events, I think, is every competitor gets a box in transition.
Ooh,
Um, little bit like the you used to see on the ITU racing, where all the like elite competitors have a box to put their kit in. So every competitor has a box. It's one of those crates that you get your supermarket delivery in.
I say
And
Tesco hate you guys. All their boxes
yeah,
go disappearing.
yeah, we've literally got 2,000 of those crates. So every competitor has a crate, and the idea is that they should only have what will fit in that crate. So it keeps it a very clean transition. Everything has to be in the box. The only thing we allow outside the box is the running shoes, which can be put on the ground next to the box, but everything else has to be in the box.
Cool, excellent. And I'm just talking through as well. It's numbered racks. Is that the setup?
Yeah, everyone will have a numbered rack position. We tend to we put quite a lot of effort into where we rack people. If it's a qualifier, we'll always rack people in age group
Yeah.
order so that people are racked close to the other people in their age group, just to make sure it's 100% fair. I mean, our transitions are laid out so they're very fair anyway. Um, we also do things like we do quite a lot of work with triathlon clubs. So if a club enter a lot of competitors, we'll rack club members together in
Ah, cool. Yeah.
transition so it creates a bit of a club atmosphere as well. So yeah, it'll be numbered racking. Everyone will have a
Yeah,
place in
Matt does
front
this
of.
really clever little thing where just before the race, you can send out a map and it'll show you exactly where your transition is with your name and who else is next to you and things as well, not just your number. So that's really quite clever. And we have huge 2 meter signs at the start and end of each set of racking, so you cannot miss where your rack is and things. But like we said, with the day before, if you're registering the day before, which is we encourage people to do, if you can come into transition and walk the route, which is a really good practice, you'll know exactly where you are and things like that. So it's but yeah, a lot of thought goes into this.
No, absolutely. And again, in terms of the other transition tips, which you talked through a lot of the other reviews, as I said, that racking the day before, making sure that you know how this flow works. There's obviously a little bit different with you guys with everything being set up beside your bike, and also but that box which will make things easier for you. Making sure you know your swim exit, know your how far you're running. Do walk this. As I said, I get people to just do videos of use their smartphone because like if they're nervous the night before and you go, oh, where do I enter in and which number was it? If you've videoed yourself walking through it, you can go, oh yeah, that's fine. And again, other kind of standard rules apply. I presume in terms of you can't touch your bike until you've got your helmet on. You can't get anywhere onto the bike until you've crossed the mount line, which is up here, according to the map. Is there anything else new, or was it unusual rules for you guys, or is it standard kind of?
No, there's just been we conform to all the British Triathlon rules as British Triathlon officials there and things like that. One of the biggest things, it's not a new rule at all, but one of the things that catch people out is just not putting the wetsuits into the box and things like that. I just happen them thrown on the floor for some reason. They get a bit panicky maybe. So yeah, I think just calm and smooth is quick. The rules have just literally been updated, I think, in the last few days. And one of the things I noted in there was towels are no longer permitted on the floor, and you can put a very small hand towel in your box and use that to dry your feet. People like to do that, but not to have it on the floor. So we send out all the rules, and so there literally has in the last 1 or 2 days been an update to the rules for British Triathlon that we're going to a focus group about, I think, next week.
Yeah, cool. And also, you can't wear your new fancy Meta glasses if you bought them, gents.
That's true.
But okay, cool. So that's as you said, some great tips as well there from Matt and Dale, as especially about just be smooth in transition. It looks like it's well laid out. You're not going to win or lose a race in transition, but you will make a mess of your day if you drop your nutrition, if you run past your bike and you forget what lane you're on. Breathe, enjoy the fact you're swimming, still a great swim, and there's a great bike course coming up for you, and off you go.
Yeah, and we the day before as well, we go to a lot of effort to make sure it's all set up as it will be on race morning. So all the inflatables are up, all the signs are up. We'll have transition managers and officials in there so they can answer your questions. So yeah, that's my biggest tip to anybody is just get there nice and early, ideally the day before, walk through, know your route, and it'll all be really calm and go smoothly on the day.
Exactly. You'll take out that race brain moment where people are, as I said, as someone once said to me, I can put doctors, accountants, successful businessmen, very clever people in a room, and I can make them all dumb by putting them in lycra and putting a smartwatch on them and telling them they have to go as fast as possible from A to B, and they forget all common sense. So please bring your common sense as well as your fancy tri bike. Okay, we will move on. And by the way, thanks very much to the guys for giving up their time. It does sound like they're putting on an absolute epic looking race. I'm already impressed by some of the bells and whistles that they've revealed. So there's the race is still open for entries, by the way. And if you stay to the end of the video, we have a discount code for you. Comments, all the details, the links, all that sort of stuff are going to be in the comments below. Check that out. And for me as well, it'd be great if you liked to say thanks to the guys and help my channel because I do lots of race reviews, not only the other guys 70.3s, but also, as I said, other local run races like Eastbourne, etc. So please like, comment, and hopefully that you check this out and let us know how it went for you. Okie doke. All right, the bike course. It is 90k loop, and it looks like there's a fair bit of elevation in it, fellas. Want to talk me through it?
Riz, I just picked up your last point actually, Steve. The mount line. Another quick tip. It shouldn't be such an issue for the middle distance, but we do see with a lot of our novices. Obviously, you can't mount your bike until you've crossed the mount line, but people tend to stop dead at that point and try and get on the bike, and it blocks the whole area. People start getting a bit of a panic. So, another quick tip I'd tell to people, I say most middle distance athletes that have done a few races and not necessarily apply to them, but just run up a few feet, find a little bit of space, and mount your bike calmly. There's no urgency to do so. It's often slower to stop dead and try and share that 2 square feet with 4 other athletes.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. Run a little bit further and all rest, then you get much more room to throw your leg over the tri bike instead of kicking someone in the head, which it does happen, especially when there's that many athletes. No, great tip. All right, gents, talk me through this bike course. I must admit, I love flat courses because I hate climbing. This looks like a challenging course, but talk us through what guys can expect on the day.
Do you want to cover this one, Dale, or do you want me to?
I cover some of it, Matt, and I'll let you pick up some of the details as well. We've actually got a video online of when we rode a lot of this course for one of our previous events. So if you look at our YouTube channel, you can actually see a video of Matt riding the course on his TT bike. I've ridden this entire course this year and set a Strava segment for it on my road bike. But yeah, there's definitely some climbing on this one. I think we're looking at about 1,500 meters across there, which is not the sort of climbing you see in Ironman Wales and things like that. But yeah, it's definitely lumpy, and you definitely want to pace yourself. So yeah, there's a huge discussion. We might get to that bit about, is it a tri bike course? Is it a road bike course? And there's different opinions on that, and me and Matt have different opinions on it. But so having ridden it this year, it's not as daunting as it seems by any stretch. The climbs are sort of 6 to 7 minute climbs. The percentage are not really significant. They're talking 7 or 8%. But it will test you if you go out and do your first lap too fast. So there's 5 laps altogether. There's a short lap, and then there's 4 longer laps. But I think the thing I want to talk about here really is just how beautiful this course is. Because you're going up to Beachhead, which is the South Downs National Park, and the road's fully closed. You just don't get that. I think the only other people have ever closed the road for anything was Top Gear. So Jeremy Clarkson managed to drive a fast car around there. But other than that, nobody does it. So to ride Beachhead this many times on a closed road, and traditionally very, very good weather here, is just amazing. We did some videos, and we released the video today online, just some shorts with our Instagram. And two of the athletes who have been asked what they thought of it. And one of them said it was a really, really tough course. And the other said, yeah, but it's beautiful. He goes, you're right. He says, beautiful is the one word I give it. So even though it's hilly, they think the beauty of the course absolutely trumps that. So yeah, Matt, do you want to add some information that maybe we can chat about, what is the best set of this course and how they approach it?
I think, shall I just talk through the actual course, and we can just look at the map as we go? So obviously starting off in Eastbourne, that first straight section along the coast there is a steady climb. It's not steep. It's you don't want to go too hard in the first couple of K, but it's a pretty gentle slope there. And then when you get to that first bend, pretty much where you've just drawn that line to, it starts to climb more steeply. And where those sort of tight bends are is that's sort of halfway up the climb. There are steepest at the bottom and the top, with a sort of slightly flatter, not quite as steep in the middle. But it's a decent climb, that. When you get to the point where the course splits, on your first lap, you're just going to continue to bear to the right, which will take you up to that point at the top of the map, correct, like that. And you'll do a U-turn there. That's called Warren Hill. Do a U-turn there, come back down, and then you'll head all the way back down into Eastbourne the way you came. And that is your first short lap. That descent with the switchbacks, we'll no doubt talk about that a bit more when we're talking about bike choice. It's a few tight bends. You need to be on the brakes going down there. So it's a little bit of a technical descent there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing, actually. You've got to say, I'm not the best climber in the world either. But I tend to catch a lot of athletes on the descent because they haven't practiced riding descent. So if you're going to practice, it's all well and good being very, very strong and be able to climb the hills, but you've got to be able to descend them as well. So I would really encourage athletes, if they can, get down here. It's a beautiful ride any time of the year, that one. But so you can come and practice, not just climbing, but definitely descending. With this course, there's a lot of descending. You can lose a bit of time if you haven't practiced.
Yeah, there's some definite nature. Was it? There's some definite give back on that course. All right, you can see that from the profile. Sorry, go on, Matt.
Yeah, so get back to the transition area. The thing about multi-lap courses, of course, is you've got all your supporters there waiting for you, so you're going to get plenty of encouragement, plus an aid station at that point. So you're 10K in at this point. You make a U-turn. You could probably see in that zoomed in section at the top right of the map there. You make a U-turn just past the mount line and double back on yourself. and then yeah, back up that climb, and then when you get to the course split the second time, where you've just gone past, you actually turn left. So you've gone past. Sorry, no, you've done that wrong. You go up and make a left turn. Yes, and then you go out on that section, which is a lovely. This is a really lovely section. You're going to be sort of a rolling section up to Beachy Head, then a lovely descent down towards Berlin Gap where we make the U-turn, and then it's a nice climb back up to Beachy Head, which is it's a climb that starts easy, and as you go up, it gets steeper and steeper to climb back up to Beachy Head, and then when you come to the course split again, you actually continue straight out to this other turn point up at Warren Hill.
Yeah, okay.
Correct, and then back down. So that is your long. No, sorry, back down into Eastbourne from there.
Yep. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're up here and then back down to Eastbourne, yeah?
Back down to
So
Eastbourne.
that was that was a short lap we did initially, and now you're on to 4 long laps.
Yeah.
So you do the short lap, which doesn't have the bit out to Beachy Head, and then you do 4 long laps. The long laps are the
This
so
is
that's
so this is the short lap which you start off with, yeah?
Yeah, that's your 10K lap, short lap, and then the long lap. You go up, you turn left, out over Beachy Head, back up to the turn point that you did on your short lap, and then back into Eastbourne.
Yeah.
So it can be windy on Beachy Head at times, but in July the weather is tends to be the best though. But it can still be windy. So if it is windy, fingers crossed it's blowing you back towards Eastbourne and not the other way. But again, that's where your bike choice and tri bars really do start to come into it.
Yeah, and there'll be plenty of signage on that and all the rest for the different turn points for lap 1, laps 2 to 5, obviously enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there were
it'll be
abundant signage, but we never rely on just signage alone. There's also marshals there that will direct athletes. We have different coloured bibs and numbers and things like that, so the marshals know which athletes should be going in which direction. So yeah, be well looked after. They won't go
No,
wrong.
absolutely. And again, look, as athletes, it's important. By the way, this video is not meant to replace reading the athlete guide. Make sure you do read the athlete guide, go to the athlete briefing and all the rest. And on the day, you got to pay attention, as in, like, it's actually, it's a simple enough course now that you've talked me through it. But again, just you have to know these things. So again, it is now the classic question. There's a bit of climbing in it. It can be a bit of wind. But again, what are you guys going to go for? Road bike or TT bike?
Well, tell I'll go for, and then Matt can answer it himself because this is the key. It's down to the individual athlete. I mean, it's very, very close in between both. There's not a huge amount in it. It's where your strengths lie, which is why I'd encourage people to come down here. I mean, bring 2 bikes if you got that opportunity to do so. But the beauty of this course is if you don't have 2 bikes, you just have a road bike or you just have a TT bike, and both work very well on this course. For me personally, I'm faster on the standard distance on a TT bike on this course. But when I rode the entire middle distance, I think I would favour a road bike with clip-on tri-bars. That's what I'd probably go for. I'd ride my road bike for the middle distance, and I'd ride my TT bike for anything up to the standard distance. But I'm not sure Matt feels the same. He's quite a big lad, but he destroys me on the hills. I catch him later, but he destroys me on the hills, so he might have a different mind.
Yeah, I tend to always prefer to race on my TT bike. My decision on this, I would say, is actually based on your TT bike. There are 2 really important factors for me. One of them is weight, and the other is brakes. My TT bike is relatively heavy, and it has very useless carbon rim brakes. Yeah, old school brakes, which basically don't work at all. So especially time, it's a bit heavy. The descent is really not good enough. So if you've got a lightweight TT bike with decent brakes, I would go with the TT bike. But I would say weight and brakes are key. So if your TT bike's a bit heavy like mine, I probably would go with the road bike.
I watched
All I'm thinking is, Matt,
one of the videos from. Sorry, Steve. So I watched a video from
There's Matt
GTN a
needs to
couple of
upgrade
weeks
his
ago.
TT bike. Sorry, Dad, you were saying?
I watched a video from GTN a couple of weeks ago, and they did a test of a TT bike and a standard bike on the Nice course, and they found that over the entire course that there was 3 minutes difference. And their conclusion is you ride the bike that's right for you. You ride the bike that you're most comfortable on. If you're comfortable on a TT bike, you can descend on a TT bike. Go for it. If you're not comfortable descending on a TT bike, then you probably want to go on your road bike. So whatever bike works for you. I remember Gus had even one year. He won it on a road bike with clip-on tri-bars where every single other pro had a TT bike. So yeah, I think that is probably the thing. It's down to the individual. It's what you're comfortable on, then that's what you should ride.
Fantastic. Oh, great. And again, do you guys have a hard and fast cutoff time for the middle distance on this course on the bike?
No, it's not hard and fast. We take the road closure out at 11:45. The reason is because there is a very nice pub on Beachyhead, and they want to open for business and things like that. But we don't stop people racing. We have 8 moto out there, lots of marshals at every single road junction. So we do say if you still happen to be there at 11:45, which is pretty late in the day considering you started at 6, but it is quite possible. Then you're welcome to continue. We'll still look after you, but then you need to obey the highway code from that point onwards.
Yeah, they're no longer completely closed roads. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Anything else you want to throw in, guys? You've sold me on it. I was initially hesitant, but that's because I hate climbing. But Beachy Head sounds good, and like the views and like the road surface all sounds again the more challenging courses, the more rewarding the medal. You know. Okay. Anything else you want to throw in the course before we talk about transition two?
No, I don't think so. That
No.
probably covers it for the bike. Get down here and check it out, I'd say.
I think that's also brilliant. And also the fact that actually it is the way the loop course is, you could, as you said, you could literally bring your 2 bikes and you could, within one sort of long bike session, you could, again, go try the road bike for the first 10K, go try a TT bike. Awesome. Alrighty. Okay. So now oh yeah, sorry. We talked about this which is which lap and turn off. The lap 1 is your short lap that you mentioned. Laps 2, 3, and 4, and 5 are for the longer laps. So again, that's well documented, and even there's more diagrams in the athlete guide that will talk you through. But I just thought I'd throw that in there. We've talked about the descents as well, or do you lads want to talk about any of these kind of yellow triangles you have?
No, I think there's one major rule actually. That there's a central white line in most British roads, and you don't cross the white line. We're really strict on this because I mean you can get some decent speeds. People are pushing north of 40 up to 50 miles an hour on some of these descents, and people are climbing up that, and people are going down the switchbacks because they're very good descenders, and there's people coming up the switchbacks at the same time. So we're absolutely adamant on this one particular rule: you don't cross the central white line. If you do and you're seen, we would take and it was seen to be dangerous, we could disqualify you. And it has been done. The race leader was one who was disqualified. And we would hate to do that, really would. But if you stick to that very simple rule, it keeps it safe for everybody. And that's really what you're looking at there. These are the points where if you cross the central white line, there's potential that you can come into contact with athletes coming up or down the hill. So that's why we re-emphasize that sort of to the cows come home.
Yeah, and look, that makes sense to me. As in, look, I appreciate people like they're loving the descents and the rest, and loving life. But again, white line, just keep to on the right side of that, and it's for your safety. It's not trying to put any sort of restriction on you. You can descend as fast as you want on the right side of the road. It's not too much to ask.
No, we have no go slow signs. I'm sort of quite proud of that. I mean, there's always a tendency to want to put those there, but people are racing. They don't want to go slow. You just got to race sensibly.
Yeah, no, exactly. Okay, cool. Alrighty, we will now talk onto this is where our aid station is, by the way, on the bike. So you'll pass this aid station 5 times. Is that right? Or 4
4 times, I think it'd be.
Four times. Yeah, 4
you mount
times.
the bike the other side of the aid station on the very first lap, but I think it would be. Yeah, it would be. I think it's 4 times. Is that correct, Matt?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you get it between each of your 5 laps.
Okay, cool. All right. What can people expect at the aid stations? What are you handing out? You're handing
So
out
they're quite traditional aid stations. You might see any of your large events and your M.Dot events and things like that. So there's going to be a bottle drop area there. Then we're going to give people bottles. Last year we had these very, very nice pink bottles, and I think we're probably looking at this sort of same again this year, which was sponsored by EF at the time. Then we're going to have for our long distance and things in the past, we've done things like bananas, and we probably will do that again for this one. But we partner with High Five, so you're going to have water at the aid stations. You can have High Five drinks at the aid stations. You have High Five gels at the aid stations. High Five bars at the aid stations. There'll be a toilet at the aid station, somewhere to ride your bike if you need to use the bathroom. At this distance, there is no special needs on the bike. And I think that's probably it, isn't it, for the aid station, Matt? There's nothing else. And so we may include some bananas at the aid station. We normally do for a long distance event.
Okay, excellent. And again, for those new to aid stations, I have a video in the comments below about do's and don'ts, and it's very common sense. Was it know what the aid stations are? Communicate when you're going into an aid station. Communicate with a volunteer. Practice being able to grab a bottle, securing the bottle. Practice, and then was it make sure you go in slow and make sure you communicate on your way out as well. So there's a video in that below. We'll focus more on the race review here. All right, we are come back and we have our bike, our dismount line, where you need to completely come to a complete stop before you actually get off your bike, and then start running into transition two, which we will follow down here. Do you want to add in?
I'll just mention something at this point because we've seen it a few times. You're descending from left to right on this picture, and then you make the U-turn, and then you go back up to the dismount line. So you're actually going to be passing the aid station and the dismount line on the other side of the road before you make the U-turn and get to them. We have once or twice seen people trying to dismount their bike on the wrong side of the road and then walk across the road, having not made the U-turn. So, yeah, just make sure you go down all the way to that U-turn and then come back up to the dismount line.
There's a very good reason for that. You're probably carrying 30 miles an hour down that hill, and we want you to slow down before you get off your bike. So we put that deliberate turn in just to rub a bit of speed off. So when you get off, it's a lot safer for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely great point and great call out there, lads. Okay, so we're now at our bike dismount line, as in which you will have nightly slowed down and you will have gone round, U-turn, slow down. Again, all about you've had your speed on front of the bike. Now you need to save your legs for the run. So we dismount. The dismount line is here, I'm thinking, and then you want to talk us through the run from T32 into T2 there, Matt.
Yep, I'll talk you through that. There is what would appear to be a maybe unnecessary little sort of out and back section along the hedge there. The reason for that is point where you're dismounting, there are also going to be sprint and standard and potentially super sprint competitors dismounting as well, because they'll be doing their races. And there's a certain flow through transition that just makes it easy to get through transition. So everybody goes across to that corner and transition once they've come in. So there is a good reason for that little out and back loop. And then yes, back in as you've drawn the line there, you go back through your row in transition in the same direction that you went in T1. The boxes I mentioned earlier, your box is always the box before you get to your bike. So your bike, as you go up transition, will be racked just beyond your box. Yeah, usual transition rules apply. Rack your bike, helmet off, make sure your helmet goes in the box, and anything else that you want to get rid of at that point. And yeah, just keep it a clean transition area.
Yeah. And again, for me, T2 is always faster, as in like this, like the only real thing I get the hammer in again, just rack the bike before you touch your helmet, take the helmet off, and then when you've got your runners on, you start moving. As in you don't need to, you can put on a race belt if you need to put a different one on, you take your gels as you're running, just start moving towards the run exit, which I presume is the run exit is up here.
Correct, yes. So you run out along the hedge line there, all the way to the end of the lawns, which is actually just off to the left of this picture. You run around the edge of the lawns, and then you're kind of going back across that hedge line, across the bottom of the transition area then.
And I
Um,
presume you give
and
guys credit, like you have, like you take that off the 21K run, don't you? As in, like, soon as you got extra run.
yeah, no, the
Yeah,
the bit around
it's an
the
accurate course. So yeah, every run's the same distance, and it's bang on.
Okay, good stuff.
it's
I always feel
and
like
we're
we've been. Sorry, you were saying, Matt?
no, I was going to say we're quite experienced at hosting like championship races and qualifier races, so we're very aware of the importance of fairness in transition. So we're always very careful to make sure that everybody runs the same distance in transition. Occasionally, you get transition areas where, depending on which row of transition you're in, you may
Yeah,
go a
yeah.
different distance. But we're always very careful to make sure that doesn't happen.
Have it all nicely
Um,
equalized. No,
just
that's all good.
just point out as well, you can see in the middle of transition there's a little couple of little grey squares. Those will be toilets. So as you come into transition, there'll be some toilets there, and then there's another toilet just at the very bottom right of the lawns as you're running out onto the prom at the bottom right there. So
Cool.
And you run past
plenty.
that bathroom every single lap as well, so that's quite convenient.
Yeah.
Perfect. Excellent. Alrighty. Okay, we will move on to the run course. It is a four loop. Is it a four loop course? Did I read that correctly?
It is a four-loop course, but
Yes.
Matt will need to talk you through it because you go back and forward a couple of times on each loop.
Yeah. So yes, there's essentially two out and back sections. There's the first out and back section, which is the one on the top of that picture to the north, away from the sea. That is run on a gravel path. It's kind of quite compacted gravel, so it's not loose gravel. It's pretty good underfoot. There's a little few uneven bits, and that is a gradual uphill all the way to the end, which you can see where it says Chesterfield Road at the left of the diagram of the picture. There, you've got a U-turn there. That's your high point. I say high point. It's only what, about 30 meters above sea level or something, so it's not high at all. And then U-turn there, and then you're back down pretty much all the way back to the transition area. You drop down a little slope onto the lower prom, and then that's a very flat out and back on the lower prom. So no, you're not. You're actually turning right at that point. It's probably easier to see on the zoomed in diagram above.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
So you're actually coming back from that first out and back, and then you make a little drop down onto the lower prom, and you do another out and back. And then you're coming back, and only when you've done the second out and back are you then sort of heading across towards the finish area.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense to me.
It's
And
it's a lot of out and backs, and it looks complicated, but around where there are turns and splits and things, it's all going to be hard barriered, and you can't actually go wrong. It'll be barriered in such a way that you can't really get it wrong.
and
And
also
that lower out and back section is right along the promenade, along the beach. It's beautiful. You'll have a few people out there walking, but there's enough athletes out there that nobody gets in each other's way. And it's really beautiful. It should be a nice hot sunny day. It might not want one on the day, but that's where it normally is. So it's the scenery is take it in if you can. Not everybody does during a race, but if you can, it is worth absorbing it all.
yeah,
And again,
with an out and
with
back though, you can also see where your competition is or your club mates are. You can always judge and kind of like it always adds to a bit of banter, as in like you can say, oh, hang on, he's only come out like that's only 30 seconds since the turnaround point. I'm gaining or etc. I actually like out and backs because if you don't see someone on the course, you have no idea where you are relative to them. So no, again, I'd be a fan of this run course. Doesn't look too hilly for me. Looks nice and flat. I like it. I approve,
Yeah,
gentlemen.
and we on people's note, I like that as well. And also we have over 200 prizes for various 5-year bands of age groups and things for these events. So I like to see where the age groups are. So our numbers have names, they have colours, they have age groups and all sorts of things on them. So you can actually see the other athletes close enough to know who in your age group isn't necessarily catching you or in front of you, which
Yeah.
again, when you're racing your age group and you're trying to qualify for things, that's really important.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
also the beauty of the multiple laps and the multiple out and back sections is you can imagine it's great for spectators as well.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of opportunities for spectators to see you. Your spectators can probably see you, sort of every couple of kilometres, probably less actually, almost every kilometre because you're going backwards and forwards so much.
Yeah, and
Um,
as
and
also
also,
near as we discussed this beforehand, you're near to the finish line as well. So like they can,
yeah,
he's on his final lap, but let's start walking towards the finish line so we can cheer him over the line. That'd be again very spectator family.
yeah,
And you'd be pleased to know
absolutely.
there's a very gentle slope on the gravel track. You don't really notice it going up. Maybe only fourth lap, but you definitely don't notice the first two or three. But you do tend to feel it coming back down. Actually, it gives you a little bit of speed in your legs, and it's deadpan flat on the second out and back section. So predominantly very flat this run course and a very quick run course.
Cool, excellent. Alrighty. Anything else on the run course, gents?
I will just mention that we do have obviously standard distance competitors racing as well and sprint distance competitors. Obviously, their lap will be a 5K lap because they're doing either 5K or 10K. In order to get your 21.1K, the middle distance competitors are actually doing a slightly longer lap than everybody else. So when you come through onto the lawns by the transition area after each lap, there's actually two turn points. They'll be very clearly signposted. But middle distance competitors, you need to actually go past the standard distance turn point and continue on to a second turn point, which is a little bit further along.
Fabulous, cool, excellent. And also, what we didn't mention, but it's very obvious here. There's absolutely buckets of aid stations along the way. Do the guys get anything different at the aid stations on the run? Obviously, you're not handing out bottles, handing out in cups, I presume, or but what will
Yeah,
they
paper
expect?
cups
Yeah.
on the aid stations. So yeah, we're very mindful of our eco footprint, and we will give flat Coke as well. People love flat Coke. I've always loved it when I've done my long distance events. So we consider the middle distance particularly a long enough event to warrant flat Coke, and we don't just give it to them. We give it to everybody, so everybody's got Coke as
Coke,
well, which
Coke equity,
can help.
Coke for all. Let them drink Coke.
Absolutely.
Cool. Anything else, gents? We'll talk a little bit about the timetable now, but also I want to pull up this cool picture. I actually, by the way, I was dead impressed with this. Is this your actual how it actually
That's not
displays your
CGI.
finish line?
This
Look,
is built,
yep, it's a real
fabricated.
photo.
I
Yep.
was actually, well, all joking aside, I did think, wow, looks a little bit AI because I've never seen it like
Nope.
that. Like, the way you go over, you can barely see the time, but that is very impressive as
It's
in
plasma
terms of,
screens, it's aluminium gantry, but we really, when I say we've left no stone unturned, we think like athletes because I don't know, we still think we're athletes. We definitely were at one point. I think we know what athletes want, and we give them what they want and what they need. So yeah, we're all about the quality of the event, and the big thing is again, we're not quite at the finish line yet, but you'll see that's not the winner. Every single athlete gets to break the finish tape.
oh, do they?
So every athlete, our thing is to make every athlete feel like they've won the event. We're really proud about that. The biggest cheer by far is the athletes towards the end of the event, particularly the last athlete of the day. But yeah, we like our racing snakes and our professionals and things come around it, but we make a big effort to make sure everybody feels like they're at the World Championships, essentially.
Ah, fantastic. As I said, and look at the crowds are quite voluminous as well. There's a fair amount of people out, and maybe they're all having those beers you're talking about, Dale. But it looks well supported, so that's
On the
great.
slap and the ad bones, and the music's playing, the sound can be deafening, so it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it.
Fantastic. Excellent. All right, we'll talk a little bit about kind of key dates and timetables. As I said, there's lots of it is a big multi-sport festival, so again, it's important to note that. So you need to know where you guys slot in as a middle distance racer. But you register on the Saturday, and then you between 1 and 6. Do you also have a chance to register on the Sunday morning as well? Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, we do. We encourage athletes to come on Saturday and just soak things up and enjoy the atmosphere. And watching the scootathon, watching 3-year-olds race literally on scooters, on tricycles, and running. It's really good. We really enjoy it. It's very exciting. So yeah, try and make that if you can. So if you got the opportunity to come on Saturday, you want to come down for the weekend and make a weekend event anyway, I'd suggest. But try and register on Saturday if you can. If not, we do allow registration on Sunday. But obviously, it's all that time pressure, and if you leave it a little bit late, it adds to the tension that you probably don't want race time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I always tell my guys that the space-time continuum actually compresses around you if you leave it to the very last minute. If you have a problem with your bike when you're was it registering and you find something, you've forgotten something, and you find that out at 2 o'clock on a Saturday, it's very easy to find that, fix that, or sort it. It's bloody hard to do if you're registering at 5 in the morning and your middle distance race is starting in 45 minutes counting. As in, it just drains all the energy you've tried to build up during your taper and all the rest, and it just takes away the fun of what you've put all the time and effort into. So give yourself time, register early. It looks like it's going to be a great buzz around the place. So actually just give yourself a chance to milk that as well. So middle distance kicks off on that beach with Dale kind of, was it shaking your hand to every single athlete that goes in? Isn't that also the promise, Dale?
Absolutely, yeah, without a doubt.
And a hug for everyone over the finish line?
Hope for some.
Okay, but that's the kind of key kind of dates and times that you have. Looks like it's going to be a great weekend. Anything else you want to add on the timetable, guys? Any other hints and tips?
No, obviously we've got awards. We have again. I don't think they might have an image in somewhere in this pack. Well, we do have an image in the pack, but we have a really nice award area. We make a big deal about giving people's awards. We have some very nice, and they are handmade awards. Are made out of hardwood and metals, and they're very nice. We don't buy things off the shelf, and I know because I personally make over 400 of these things a year. So yeah, we have award ceremonies for everybody, and we'd encourage people to hang around and collect their awards afterwards. We will post them, which most events won't do if necessary. We do charge a little bit, not a lot, for the inconvenience I'm to do so. We'd rather not have to, but I've been to events and I've occasionally won awards, and if you can't stay and you don't get your award, it's always very disappointing. So we will post them if we really have to, but we'd like you to stay for the awards and share with them.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and it's awards in every 5 year age group, so it's a lot of awards to hand out, and you've got a good chance of picking up an award because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, and it's also part of the community, lads. As in, like if you win an award, not only do you want to have your little moment in the sun, but you also want to applaud your club mates, your friends, or even other. Like, I'm always constantly inspired by like some 65-year-old who's actually beaten me a good bit in the race. Who said that guy is getting an applause, and like as in like just it's not just your personal achievement as well. It's everyone else's. So do get amongst it and sort of like take part in the award ceremony. And if you're lucky enough to come away with these awards, you definitely want to have that moment and that photograph. All right, we will leave it there. Just one quick one. As I said, I did promise the guys have been very generously offered a was it a coupon code for the race. It is available there. It's also a link in the comments below. And if you do have questions or queries, do give comments, or as I said, I'll have the lads' email address that they will be able to take questions about. The other thing is, I said the athlete guide is is the athlete guide released now, Matt? Or is that up live on the site or?
Very close. It will be in the next week or so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
All
we'll
right. Well,
probably break the guide down by event as well, so that we don't overwhelm people with information they don't need, but they'll get every bit of information that they do need. And we may even this year, we might be the year that we might even narrate it and maybe even stick an avatar of Matt or I on there. Even Chip might make an appearance.
Lads, I told you about stepping on people about copywriting. Brilliant. Okay, cool. So as I said, and anything else, I'll link them in as well. But again, here's your web with all the details. Gentlemen, it's been absolutely lovely to meet you. I love hearing about new races around the world and also ones as close to ourselves in Ireland. And from the sounds of it, you're not leaving any stone unturned. There's some really nice bells and whistles on that maybe bigger people could learn from you. Maybe when you see your larger competitors copying you, know you're onto something. But thank you for your time. Thank you for the. I wish you the best of luck with the preparation. Any last minute words for the viewers in terms of prep, hints, tips, or advice?
No, I just encourage people to check it out, visit Eastbourne. It's a beautiful place. We're not just making things up. The quality event we honestly believe would stand up against any of the best events in the world. We've won event of the year, national event of the year 3 times now, which is very much unprecedented, I believe. So yeah, don't just take our word for it. Read reviews if you want. Come and have a look. Look at the awards that the event's won, and I'd encourage you to come down there. I really don't think you'll regret it.
Sounds fab. I might even be tempted myself now, gentlemen.
Please do.
But I always get really upset when I get beaten by a load of English people. So that as like,
Oh, you'll have to live with that, Steve, or put a few more hours in the saddle, mate.
I'm just living off the fact that my national rugby team have had a very convincing win over the gentlemen's rugby team, and I'm lording it. So I don't want to give the English more. Was it something on me at this stage? But anyhow. It'd be worth me swallowing my ego to try this race out, and you never know. And I might even do a little bit of a review when I'm going through it. But gentlemen, thanks very much for your time. That was brilliant, very much appreciated, and we'll leave it there.